What's up, everybody? It's your favorite summer blockbuster's favorite nerd. Today we are looking at the rest of the Marvel Legends Antman Wave, Grim Reaper, Bulldozer, and Ant-Man himself. There's some good and some bad here, and we'll talk about it, so let's get started. So let's start out with Grim Reaper. Now, I gotta tell you, I've had a rough night last night and don't have much sleep. So since my buddy Robert likes to give me a hard time about my fancy coffee cups, there you are, in hand, sir. But anyway, back to this fella. Now, I'm part of a group on Facebook called Marvel Legends Community, I think is the name of it. I'm giving them a shout out because it's a pretty fantastic Facebook group. Guys that are really passionate about the line and very knowledgeable. And I read on there, somebody said that this was a new sculpt. So that's why I wanted to look at him first, because I'm guessing that we're going to see a lot of this. So let's get into it. He doesn't come with any accessories bar this cape, which I think is okay. It does its job well. It doesn't really get in the way. I like it's an odd shape, but I like the shading on it and whatever. My biggest issue with it is that these flaps don't really like curl around to their proper place. Maybe a little bit of hot water or something, you can fix that, but you know, it just looks a little funny. It's not, you know, it's not unreasonable, but it just looks a little funny. You know, that they don't curl around his neck properly. It's just one of those things that eats me up, but it's a personal thing. Tabs into his back right there. So let's look at him. I like the shade of like this blue-gray that they chose for him. I think it works pretty well. Head sculpt is pretty good. We got the fins there. This probably would have to try to fix with some hot water too. Or maybe I got it pretty close. And I really like the face sculpt. Like, I think that they did a terrific job there. Like, the gums are painted, the eyes are painted well. There's like the irritation around the eyes. Like, you know, he looks mad. I like mad, crazy mad, you know? And I think that's really spot on. Articulation-wise, not a lot there because, well, you know what? Never mind. It's on a ball hinge. I just figured it was a ball peg from the way that it wouldn't move, but mine is just stuck with paint finish. So that's one of those things where individual results may vary. But now that I've got her loosened up a little bit, let's give it a shot. And yeah, much better. Up, down, no problem. Side to side. So yeah, works fine. Disregard. But you might have to take your head off if yours is like mine and carefully move that ball peg back and forth in order to loosen it up. But now we're good to go. So glad we did it. Moving down the figure, we got the skull and crossbones, which are okay. Got a little bit spotty up in there, but overall okay. And then we got an ab crunch. I like the cut here, by the way, for where the shoulders are. Since this is going to be a mold we're probably going to see a lot more of, I do like the cut there. I think it looks pretty natural. I dig it. It seems to be a different finish on the shoulders than the rest, so that kind of bothers me. But other than that, we're good to go. Ab crunch gets you one click forward, one click back, which isn't optimal, but it will do. Waist swivels built in, and the shoulders are on a ball hinge, but are fairly limited. So that's going to be, you know, quite possibly an issue from here on out with this guy. That's unfortunate. Because of the cut, the ball hinge does get you a decent kind of butterfly joint across his chest, so that's nice. Bicep swivel, it's a tight joint in there too. Well, it'll degrade over time, I'm sure. Bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, that works pretty well. And we got this painted gauntlet on there, which looks just fine. And then wrist hinge and swivel, good to go. Same on the other side, except for this bit of business here. Well, one thing, I hate when they do this. Like, this is a gripping hand for like an accessory, but he comes with no accessory to hold. So that's pretty lousy. This side, everything works pretty much the same. Only thing that's different is he has this, which swivels here at the wrist and probably pops off. I'm not going to do it. My elbow joint is a little gummy. If you're a Marvel Legends collector, you know what I mean. When some of that plastic just feels a little gummy. It was especially evident in the Guardians wave. But And then this seems a little chewed up there, but I'm not sure if that might be purposeful. But it looks ugly, like the finish on it looks ugly. And then the silvers are different, but it's not terrible. And this looks like it has shading on it, or at least it might be it's a highlight here. Hard to tell, but it looks nice. It looks decent for what it is. Moving on to the hips, T-jointed ball joints that get you out to there. That's okay. Forward gets you a ton of motion and doesn't really break up the sculpt, so that's nice. And thigh swivel, double jointed knee, which if you manipulate correctly will get you fine. They kept the calf swivel in there so that they could put different boots on it. My connection here isn't the best. You see that? It's loose. It doesn't fit properly. So that's unfortunate and could very well be a reoccurring issue. The other one's not a problem. And it could be one of those things where individual results will vary too, so it's hard to say. New sculpt and all, so you know. Let me know if you have this figure. Let me know how this is for you. I'd be curious. Foot hinge, good articulation up and back. Like it's not ridiculously up where it doesn't feel anatomically correct, and it gets you all the way back, so that's nice. And then the ankle rocker is built in at the peg into the shoe, so that works well as well. So really, you know, the only thing that's really bad about this guy is, well, let's go ahead and address this. This is a new sculpt, and it's just plastic. You get this paint app here, this paint, and that's it. And this is like the bare bones sculpt of it. Nothing special at all, minus the head, which is done. I would imagine if you're interested in this figure, he'll be very easy to find because I can't imagine that he's going to fly off the shelves at all. So next up is Bulldozer. I don't think this is a new mold. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think that I have ever messed with this mold before. So it's new to me, I believe. Yeah, if I'm wrong, I can guarantee you it won't be my first or last time. So head just popped off on me, but that's okay because now we can look at the joint, which is on a ball peg on a hinge. So that's fine. And then we'll plug it in here. And decent. Not the greatest because of all this stuff going on, but not the worst either. It would be nice to get a little bit more up, but you're going to pop it off that peg. The face is painted black, and then it looks like a nice finish on the eyes. Probably very impossible to tell. You can kind of see the shine off the eye there, so that's nice. And then the face is painted. The lips are painted inside of the helmet, which doesn't come off, but I'm okay with that. Like, you know, look at they didn't have to paint those lips, and they did, and it looks nice. And cheers for them. Cheers to them for that. It looks like the metal on his like this softer piece of plastic here that just fits over top, as well as the head has a fair amount of detail in it. Has a fair amount of like line work and sculpt in it, and it's all washed, which gives it a nice finish on an otherwise pretty bland figure. So I commend them for that. That's the kind of stuff I love to see with this line. Ball hinge shoulders, swivel there inside the torso, and then you get the hinge. Not the greatest range, but if you turn the shoulder around, you can get whatever you need out of it. So that's easily forgivable. Bicep swivel, single hinged elbow. Not the greatest range there, but for a big burly character, I think it'll do just fine. And then a wrist swivel, and they did it here, which I think is okay. It would have been nice if they did it here between the hand and this, because then you might have got the hinge in the hand as well, but you know, nothing too terrible. We got a little bit of flash here in the plastic. It would have been nice if they took care of that, but that's okay. I'll do it. I want a piece of their check, but I'll do it. And same on the other side all the way around with the fist hand. This has a holding hand, but you get no accessory for him to hold, so you know that kind of irritates me. Ab crunch, the sculpt doesn't continue, so that bothers me, but it comes down just fine, and the range of motion is actually fairly superb for a big character, so I give him credit for that. Loose floating piece of plastic here for his belt that works just fine, no problems. And then you can have your waist swivel and even manipulate the belt over it to kind of hide the seam, which I'm a big fan of stuff like that. There's a fair amount of, like, you know, the veins are all sculpted in, all the muscle, the texture, and the whatever he's wearing, the latex-ish thing is all sculpted in. That's pretty nice. It's plain. It doesn't continue onto the torso, which does kind of distract me a bit, but that is a nice touch. And the pants are extremely. They got tons of wrinkles and, you know, little creases in the fabric. I like little stuff like that. I'm a sucker for stuff like that. So we've got wide jointed, hinged. It looks like wide joints anyway. Yeah, it looks like it to me. Wide jointed, hinged thighs. works just fine. Y joints are my favorite, but I can't, I prefer them when they're at least on a hinge rather than a ball joint, because I feel like you still get a fair amount of anatomic correctness, so to speak, with it. Thigh swivel, which is not ideal, especially because you get a thigh swivel here at the peg into the pelvis. So this is kind of extra, and if you manipulate it, it easily destroys the aesthetic of the sculpt, just because of the line work. So I would have been okay if this was solid and then this swiveled here. Just pointing it out, not a big deal. Double jointed knee works just fine. Not the prettiest knee in the world, but for a Marvel Legends $20 figure, I'm more than okay with it. And then no shin swivel, which I'm a fan of. This is all done well, and the line work and the boots are done well. You get a hinge here at the ankle. Oh, you get a little bit of a rocker, not much, but a little bit. So yeah, so that's at least a little. There's a little thought that went into that, and then a toe tilt, and then all this is sculpted down here on the bottom of the shoe. So that's all in all for a relatively not very popular kind of you're gonna buy this so you can build Ultron type of figure. There's a fair amount that went into this, and I gotta say I'm okay with him. Lastly, we're gonna do Ant-Man. Now he comes with these 3 accessories, which I do think are cool. They don't really have a place for me, but I do think they're cool. They're very small. It's Ant-Man riding a bug, and then a Yellow Jacket, I think is his name. I can't never remember. But that's how big he is in comparison to a Marvel Legends figure. But yeah, let's talk about him. So, focus. There he is. It's decent. Like for its size, it's pretty decent. They got paint on there. Like, why? And the paint isn't that bad, like, applied. Like, why can they do paint this small? But like sometimes they just seem to throw out the baby with the bathwater with bigger stuff. And then the little arms there are painted a silver. It works. It's cool. It does beg the question, why didn't we get a Yellow Jacket with this wave? But maybe there'll be a wave 2. However, I have a sinking suspicion there will not be. But SDCC has already come at this point. I shot this before it, and maybe we got a reveal there. You get this Ant-Man, once again, fair amount of paint, once again, fairly well done. It blows my mind what they can nail and then what they can just throw away. But pretty cool, and then he rides on top of this bug, which doesn't have any articulation. It's made up of a couple pieces of plastic that just fit on. The wings are one piece, the main bug body is one piece, and then the legs are one piece. The legs fit in and sandwich the wings in, which kind of keeps the whole thing together. But it's all in all, it's a decent looking bug. They didn't paint the eyes or anything, but there's not a lick of paint on this thing regardless. So whatever. But I'm okay with it, and he rides it fairly well. Like, all in all, it's a pretty cool accessory. It's thoughtful. It's not necessary, but it's thoughtful. And here's our Walking Dead Ant-Man. It's one of the big problems I have with him, and we will talk about it. There's a few. The head, it's a decent sculpt, I think. Like, I think it's fairly well done. I don't really have a good picture in my mind of what the movie one looks like. I don't know if I remember the eyes being orange, but it all in all is a decent amount of detailing and stuff where I think it's close enough to the mark where it's well done. The face is painted well. All this stuff is fairly painted well. Like the red, what's nice is like they gave him like a battle-worn kind of helmet. So even where the red doesn't work quite well, it still kind of works because it stays with the consistency of the look. And that's fine with me. I'd rather they all look battle damaged to make up for their lousy paint, when they do have lousy paint, than have lousy paint on a clean-looking figure. So the head is on a ball hinge. Decent articulation up and down, side to side, no problem. I like the little antenna in here. There's a lot of sculpt into this. And this is obviously a new mold. I believe, anyway. Let me say that, because I'm not 100% sure. I can see how they could have built it off maybe a shield figure or something. And you got a ab crunch. That's good. There's a lot of like line work and stuff in this. There's a lot of texture. There's a lot of like depth and layers and all that. Like it works pretty well. The paint does get away from him because there's a lot of paint that goes into this. So like there's splotches in the red. The silver spills over into the red a few times. So that is a little disappointing, but when you have them on a shelf, I don't think you'll notice, and I'm just happy they went the effort and threw the paint on there in the first place. So baby steps. That's where I'll give Hasbro a break. It's like, okay, so you tried. I'll get, like you tried. It's obvious that you tried. I will accept the flaws because I'm happier with this from a distance on a shelf than I am if it was just all this, So anyway, continuing on. Ab crunch we talked about. Waist swivel. Got this belt that's sculpted on. But that's fine. It doesn't really... if you turn them too much, it kind of loses it a little bit, but still not hateful. Ball hinge shoulders that work pretty well. Same kind of thing. You turn it around the other way to get your full range. Bicep swivel built in there. Once again, decent paint application. Not perfect, but definite effort. And that's all I need is a little bit of effort. Good sculpting in here with these ridges in the suit. Double jointed elbow. Wrist swivel and hinge. Fair amount of paint there. We got a wash on this silver and then an orange stripe in the middle and then the red on the other side. Like, that's a lot of paint for a $20 Hasbro figure, and I got to give credit where credit is due. Same on the other side. One thing I do not like is these hands. Like, I just think it's like a really bizarre choice to have two of these hands like this. Like it looks like the rock monster from Neverending Story. Like, these used to be such strong hands. Anyway, shout out to Neverending Story fans. I used to always watch it when I was a kid. When I was sick, my dad used to get it for me. So, special memory. Anyway, red there on the back of the pelvis. Otherwise, not a lick of paint, but fair amount of sculpt work in there as well. So that's cool. It looks like this line here. No, I'm not sure because it's up in there too. So maybe it's right. It wouldn't have killed him to put the silver on there. I think it would have continued through better, but I'm not even sure if that's the way it should be. So what do I know? T-jointed ball joints for hips that work fairly well. Get out to there, up to there, no problem. Thigh swivel, we got this red stripe of paint, so you lose that when you utilize the swivel, but still not the worst thing in the world. I'd rather they have it and do this than not have it. Double jointed knee, that works okay. The knees feel a little gummy to me also, like we were talking about. Red down there, still consistent. The consistent issues of the paint are throughout, but there is paint throughout, which I will take any day of the week. Now, this is my big issue for this figure. So, we got good sculpt work, we got good line work, we got a decent amount of paint applications, and we got some paint that's really well applied. But we have the foot here that has a rocker with no issue, but the tilt gets you down to there, which is fine, but it only gets you to there. You can't go up at all, and I just feel like if you could have gone up just a little bit, it'd make him easier to stand because he has a tendency to want to fall back. Hey, could you do me a favor, mow the grass? My Little Pony? Why do you even buy those things? They're silly.
Oh, really? How's that Ant-Man finger doing standing up?
That's hurtful. It's hurtful. Final thoughts for this wave. I think it really comes down to the person's personal attachment to these characters. The toys overall really aren't that bad. Tiger Shark is definitely the worst, but the rest of them really aren't that bad. They've all got some issues, but they all work fairly well. The wave is fairly efficient. The problem is Ultron and whether or not you need the whole wave. So if you like these characters, by all means get them. They're not great enough where if you don't like them, they're not going to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? But if you like the characters, you'll be fairly happy with them. You'll be satisfied, and then you get Ultron as a bonus. If you don't, and you're just kind of in it for the main line, and you already have an Ultron, or you're going to get that 3 set that comes with the Ultron, or whatever your plan is for Ultron, if you're good there, I think you can walk away with just getting Giant Man, Wasp, and Ant-Man and being perfectly happy. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.
At least my finger stands up.
Brush my hair.